Hello, my name is Tim Pollock, and in the fall I will be transferring to the Royal Scottish Conservatoire of Drama and Music. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, we originally had 4 clips. I'm only going to show you 2 for the sake of time. What my directed study is I took Shakespeare's characters and analyzed them and showed how over time actor interpretation has changed the character so much that Shakespeare himself might not even be able to recognize his own character. So what I'm going to do, the example I'm going to use is Iago. If you read my abstract, we also did Polonius, but we don't really have time for that. So I'm going to start with one of the most famous, I guess you could say, performances of Othello, which was done with Lawrence Fishburne and Kenneth Branagh. And what you're going to see here is part of one of the monologues performed by Kenneth Branagh. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that and show you the next one.
Goes to farewell. Put money enough in your purse? I'll sell my lad. Thus do I ever make my fool my purse. For I mine own gained knowledge should profane if I would time expend with such a snipe, but for my sport and profit. I hate the moor, and 'tis thought abroad that twixt my sheets he's done my office. I know not if 't be true, but I, for mere suspicion in that kind, will do as if for surety. He owes me well. The better shall my purpose work upon him.
Alright, so I'm going to stop it there. What you can see in this one, you see a lot of raw emotion. The camera's zooming in on his face, you see the tears in his eyes. But that's not really what we focused on. What we focused on were everything, the way he said things, where he paused. You can see that when he says the line, "I hate the moor," it's very spaced out and it gives this anger to it. We also analyze things such as costume. You look at his costume, it's a very light color and has open slits in it, which makes him seem more like an open character. In this next clip, you're going to see Bob Hoskins doing the same monologue in a completely different costume with a completely different acting style.
I'll be with you at times.
Go to, farewell. Do you hear, Rodrigo?
What's it?
No more of drowning. Do you hear?
I'm changed.
Go to, farewell. Provide thy money.
I'll sell all my land.
Thus do I ever make my fool my purse. For I mine own gain knowledge should profane if I would time expend with such a sniper for my sport and profit. I hate them all. And it is thought abroad that twixt my sheets he's done my office. I know not if it be true. Yet I, for mere suspicion of that kind, will do as if for surety. He holds me well. The better shall my purpose work on him.
Alright, so as you see there, it's a little bit more friendly, if you can call Iago friendly. So, the costume does dictate it. You have the high metal collar, makes him seem like a violent, militant person, and he has the black. But just his tone of voice and the way he comes across saying things, he's not quite as bad as the Kenneth Branagh character. Now what I'm going to do, I am in full costume, I will do the same monologue with my interpretation of it. And mine is a cross between the two. A little bit friendlier, but still pretty bad. Thus do I make my fool my purse. For I, mine own gained knowledge should profane, if I would time expend with such a snipe, but for my sport and profit. I hate the moor. And it is thought abroad that twixt my sheets he has done my office. I know not if it be true, but I, for mere suspicion of that kind,
do as if we're sure to. He holds me well. You better show my purpose work on him.
Any questions?
Excuse me,
Oh, yes.
I met you down on the riverside
Yes.
a couple days ago, and he's out there sword fighting on the banks of the river. Police. And instead I had a class down there showing them the wildflowers, and I invited Jim to come over and give us a blast of Hamlet. And I just loved your extemporaneous ability to step up to the plate and lay some Hamlet on us. That was like one of the great moments in education as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much.
So does Iago think of himself as a bad guy?
I don't know, does he? That's the thing. That's the big thing about this directed study is actor interpretation. So whereas I would come in and say, no, he looks at himself as somebody who was wronged and is going to try and get what he thinks is just punishment, that's my interpretation. But you could come up here and say, no, Iago is a bad guy, knows what he's doing is wrong, doesn't really care, and as far as we're concerned, he's a very Machiavellian type character. Anything else? Question in the back?
Would you say that how an actor interprets a character really has to do with the actor themselves and how they see things? So, like, you would see someone who is actually justified in something that they've done, so your interpretation of a bad character might actually be the fact that they are just in fact human, whereas somebody else who just has an opinion of what they did is just wrong, they're just plain bad.
It's a very interesting question because it's somewhat that, but it's also, you have, somebody will bring their own personal experiences, but you're also going to have, at one point Polonius was a bad guy. Then all of a sudden one person played him as a good guy, and everybody's like, ooh, wait a minute, I like that. So the next person came along and said, well, I like that, so I'm going to do it too. And then that's how it's slowly, the characters have actually evolved. So in the abstract, I say Polonius was a bad guy. He's one that you're supposed to cheer for when he dies. It's like, yeah, good, he got it. But now, I did some examples. I've made people watch different productions of Hamlet, and in certain ones, when Polonius dies, people are like, oh, that sucks. I like him. But you're not supposed to be. He's a bad guy. So it's all from what an actor pulls from his own life, as well as what they have seen works. Yes?
You are a famous actor. Don't forget to report.
I will. I'll come back and build a brand new theater.
Stay tuned, we got more stuff for you.
Take a bow.
We got a bag of tricks.